We tend to treat workouts like a quick in and out, like a service. Go in, do the thing, get the release, and leave. But what most people don't realize is it's not anonymous. You're being watched on a deeper level than you think, or at least you should be if you actually want results. Not just in what you're doing, but how you're doing it, how you respond, where you push, and where you hesitate. And if you're working with someone who actually knows what they're looking at, that kind of information tells them everything. So today we're getting into that side of training, what's actually being seen and how that should change the way you approach your workouts. I'm joined today by James G., remote performance coach and former athlete based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. James has lived on both sides of this, competing in high-level athletics and now training everyday people. So we're going to get into so much of the specifics around your work with people, but tell us a little bit more about you.
Hey everyone, my name's James. I'm actually from Mississippi, but I live in North Carolina right now. I'm an in-person and online performance coach. Not an emphasis on the performance. I work with people from all fitness level. Yeah.
Amazing. And you were in a competitive environment, you mentioned before, for about 20 years. So what did that wire into that still shows up for you personally today?
Um, I think discipline, routine, and if I can dumb it down to three words, gratefulness.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what part are you grateful for?
I think just the ability to have been able to do that and like experienced playing soccer at an elite and a more elite level. Um and I think just being able to do something that I love and like receive income and get paid for it
True.
at one point. I feel like it's kind of like the pinnacle of that is like, all right, I get to chase my passion and I get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Um
And doing it so young too. It's like
yeah.
most people live their whole life and they never can say that they got to do that. So that's really special. And yeah, to be able to be competitive at something that you're actually passionate about too is amazing. So what changed for you the most when you stepped out of competing and more into the coaching side?
It stopped being about me and it started being about my clients and serving them. Yeah, it became more about how do I help them get to their goals and how do I help them feel accomplished. And the lens switches from, okay, how am I squeezing out performance for myself into, okay, how do I navigate this person to get the best out of them, so that they can be their best selves for themselves.
Yeah, because everybody's different. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously everybody's body's different, but then everybody's lifestyle is
Mhm.
totally different too. So that can add some different factors, right?
Yeah,
Is there
absolutely.
anything that you feel like you had to unlearn from being an athlete that didn't serve you?
Um, the year that I played pro in Sweden, I learned that pushing through little niggles, isn't smart. That I kind of learned in the American system, was very much, oh, like you're a little bit hurt, like maybe you're injured, but you can run, you can pass, you can do this, you can play, so you should play.
Yeah.
And over there, it was very much if you have even something small, they're like, okay, we want to know what it is, what's going on, what does it feel like. So yeah, I would say like yeah, pushing through little niggles and
Yeah.
just being like, oh, it's gonna get better, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's kind of the difference sometimes can be like, push through the niggles, as you say, to either, keep the image going that like
Mhm.
everything's good, like team's stronger than ever, or
Mhm.
is it like you don't push through the niggles and you focus more on the long term,
Mhm.
resilience of that player and the team or whatever, it's just different approaches, but
Mhm.
it's out there.
Yes.
Totally. Right. Was there a moment where you realized then how you trained yourself was, totally different than what you had to bring to your clients? I know you mentioned there are differences, obviously.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I think like you said, everybody's body is different and everybody's life is different. So I think once I started to learn about how people manage stress or how our bodies regulate stress, and that it all goes into one cup. It's not like, you get your separate cups, so you get to divvy and choose which ones it goes in. Um, yeah, I think that was when I started to be like, oh, okay, like when I first started training, I was 27. I had a girlfriend at the time. That was my the only like really bit of responsibility and job. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, I can work out 2 times a day, and a lot of my clients, that was not something that they needed to do or wanted to do.
Yeah. I would say most people probably don't want to, you
Mhm.
know, and then definitely most people don't need to, you
Yeah.
know. But then fast forward to now you're a dad, you probably understand, it's a challenge sometimes to even carve out the time for just yourself probably at
Hmm.
times, right? Even
Hmm.
1 hour, let
Yeah.
alone twice, you
Yes.
know? So, and of course it's never just the 1 hour because there's the commute, the setup, etc. So it's just, yeah, total lifestyle change, you know? Yeah. So a lot of people think that they need to just keep training harder, right? Thinking
Okay.
like,
Okay.
okay, then they're going to achieve their goal, they're going to feel better, but sometimes they don't always feel better, right? And
Yes.
random example for me, there was a time a few years ago, not that long ago, I was doing a lot more strength training than I had previously done. And one day I was doing over 400 pounds with the barbell and hip thrust. And simultaneously, it felt like I was like bruising my pubic bone and my
Yeah.
lower abdomen and like and I'm technically hypermobile in all my joints. So I was
Okay.
just like,
Okay.
I don't know if this is good. But ultimately, I was like, how is this translating to my real life? Why do I ever need to be able to do this type of excessive
Hmm.
lifting or motion? And I also realized as a PT that there were things on the opposite end of the spectrum that I wasn't strengthening in the same regard, right?
Hmm.
So it's like, luckily, I can tune in and notice those differences and kind of make some tweaks myself or peel back when I need to. But a lot of times people just think if I just keep pushing more, if I just keep moving up in weights, that means I'm going to feel better.
Hmm. Okay. And where the disconnect is there.
Yeah.
Um, I think the disconnect is really just an education. Um, I think there's just a lot of misleading things on the internet about pushing harder and high intensity exercise. Um, there are people on the side that do explain it and do kind of educate on you and kind of try to lead you in a direction. I would like to say I'm one of those people. Um, I think it's just helping them understand that there's going to be days and there's times that we push and that we go hard. Um, but there's um there's not always the reward is not always worth the risk. So like you say, like hip thrusting 400 pounds, like life wise, what does that do for you other than like you get to tell your friends that and yeah, you get to post it on Instagram and be like, look at this.
Yeah.
Uh, versus like, oh, I could do a little bit less and do more reps
Yes.
um or essentially, yeah, and yeah, so yeah, I would say like that's it, and then probably the application. Like if I'm training someone who's into powerlifting, then we're probably going to be like training pretty hard, pretty heavy. But if I'm training one of my tennis moms who's going to play tennis tomorrow for 2 hours, probably not smart to wreck her central nervous system the day before, and then she's going to be like, "Man, I really didn't play well yesterday." When I see her the day after, and I'm like, "Huh." I'm like, "What did we do the day before?" I'm like,
You're like,
"Oh,
where's your
okay."
body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense."
We destabilized you, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
and I think it's really important to hear this coming from you, somebody who has played at a professional level before, because, from the PT side of things, I've worked with a lot of pro level
Mhm.
athletes in the past, and we've had so many clients come in over the years that they just follow those guys, right? Because it's like they want to be doing what these guys are doing
Mhm.
essentially. And they want to be training like them, doing as intensive physical therapy as them or whatever, right? But sometimes it's, there's the lack of information around like the recovery aspect, and it's not just training hard and going to PT briefly. Like there's so many other factors that play into their recovery ultimately behind the
Mhm.
scenes too. So it's helpful having somebody like you who's lived it tell your clients like, yeah, no, we all need this, you know,
Yeah.
and you've felt it before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
And then you mentioned before that you've spent some extra time studying the pain management side of things in
Mhm.
terms of recovery. So, what made you go deeper into pain management versus just regular fitness programming alone?
Um, I think the space between someone who's getting released from physical therapy back to their sport of choice or their activity of choice, um, is not necessarily absent, but I think there's just kind of like a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Um, and I just liked the company that I took the coaching course through. I liked how they were wording things and kind of their stance on, and it kind of lived in that like, hey, why do you need kind of what we were just talking about? Why do you need to be back squatting 315 pounds? Like, what's that actually doing for you? Is that putting you in more pain or is it actually helping you get out of pain?
Mhm.
So yeah, and it just really shifted my brain into, yeah, stress management, like learning where people's stress is,
Yeah.
learning where they're having the pain is, and then it all kind of is like a little, I don't know what shape I'm looking for here, but like a trifecta or a diamond. It's probably maybe a pentagon. There's probably three, four, or five things that go into it.
And then do you feel like clients generally know how to differentiate between different sensations, if it's pain or muscle burning or whatever? Or do you feel like there's some education sometimes that needs to happen around that?
Lots of education. I think, and from experience and just hearing people tell me that I think anytime someone experiences pain, they immediately think it's bad. Um,
Yes.
and you probably know from the physical therapy side of things, like, hey, we're gonna do something today that's probably gonna be a little bit painful, but it's like it's going to be good for you because your
Yeah.
body's learning how to do this thing again, and then it's gonna repair it, and then it's gonna get stronger. Um,
Yeah. Kind of bizarre too, because it's like a lot of the physical therapy stuff that I do with clients is actually very painful, you know?
mhm.
But to people experiencing it, usually it's a good hurt, right? So
Yeah.
it's like sometimes my clients end up starting to like that sensation. And then when they come in, or if I work with them and they're like, I can't, I can't get that strong of a sensation anymore. It's like they're pissed about it,
Mhm.
but I'm like, it means it's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's funny how, the perception can shift. And then similarly, there were just so many experiences over the years where it's, somebody comes in, let's say with back pain, and it turns out, their glutes really aren't firing much at
Mhm.
all. And you have them start doing some basic activation stuff. And you mentioned, let me know if you have pain with this, right?
Mhm.
Well, I learned if to be very careful with that because people would quickly be like, I feel pain, and
Mhm.
I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
tell me about it. And they'd be like, what does it feel like? They'd say, it feels like burning. And I was like, that's your muscle working. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. That's, you know? But again, it's like the amount of fear that it can induce in somebody if
Mhm.
they aren't aware of these basic sensations, or like what's a yellow flag versus a red
Mhm.
flag, and what is safe for me in my specific body and my specific anatomy to push through versus where should I realistically peel back,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes.
So it's just kind of it's kind of all over the board with people sometimes,
Mhm.
but again, that's what we're here for.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So, what are people getting wrong, do you think, about pain in regards to more public settings in the gym in terms of like workout classes?
Um. I think they're just ignoring it. I think a lot of people just like have something and they're like, I really want to take this class. I know it's like I just like to do this type of fitness and but my knees bother me, but I really want to go to a Barry's class and run under the red lights and do squat jumps with everybody in there. Um and then I think yeah, I can't think it goes back to understanding like why or helping someone understand why they're having the pain. And kind of what you just said is, it's not necessarily you're having back pain, but it's not necessarily your back that's causing the pain. Um, and so I would say like people ignoring it, and then just again the lack of I would probably say understanding how to like modify their group workouts.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As you say that, I'm thinking of so many just group fitness experiences I've been in. And honestly, it's kind of a challenge for me sometimes to go to
Mhm.
group fitness classes because I can see all of the forward
Yeah.
deviations happening, you know. So to me it's quite stressful at times because I'm like, oh, they're gonna that their back's gonna bother them later or their knee's in a really bad position or, you know. Um but yeah, it's challenging for not only the instructors to keep track of everything because there's so
Hmm.
many moving parts, but a lot of times the instructors themselves don't quite have the training yet in terms of being able to recognize certain things. Like you said, there is a big gap in the industry, which is why I love
Hmm.
networking with trainers and people like you, especially because I mean, that's what I would do with my clients. I would basically network, meet different people, and then kind of match them, pair them, and be like, I think this person would be a really great fit for you, your vibe, your lifestyle, your
Hmm.
goals, whatever, right? Because it's just, there there's so much out there and there's a lot of fun stuff out there too, right?
Yes.
But it's like just I just hope people are have a little bit of discernment and are a little careful around choosing things just based on the vibe and what looks cool,
Hmm.
you know, and
Yes.
also choose sometimes based on your own actual need.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And not all the
Um,
time, just sometimes even.
yeah, just sometimes.
Yes.
Just a couple of times.
Yes. And then have you seen any clients where you feel like they kept pushing through, but that was what was actually holding them back from progressing or
Um,
achieving results, let's say?
yes, yeah. Yeah, I would say plenty of probably a third of the clients. And it's mostly the type A. Um, I need to do more, I can do more. Um, yeah, and it's just having that conversation of being like, hey, more is not always better. Um, sometimes less is better, sometimes just better is better. And then yeah, I think just helping them understand kind of what we talked about at the beginning too, kind of going back to like pushing through. It's like, hey, let's take a step back here. Like the last 4 weeks, you've done some really, really intense training. Um, yeah, do you feel like you've made progress? Like, how do you feel now? Like, does your body feel better? Does your body not feeling better? Is it hurting a little bit more? Um, yeah, and then I think even as a coach, maybe do it like I guess yeah, if you're assessing someone and they have some sort of tests, it's like, okay, we tested and then we ran you through this 5 week programming, um, and then we retest and you do worse, uh, unfortunately. But yeah, then we have to kind of go back and look at like, okay, well, how did training go?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's honest.
yeah, and I think yeah, it's having proof to show someone like, hey, like you trained really, really, really hard during the last 5 weeks, but you didn't really make any progress, even though you like felt like you were.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes those tangible like metrics can just be unfortunately so much more helpful for people sometimes to
Hmm.
be like, oh shoot, I see it on an actual paper.
Hmm.
Now I believe it more, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and obviously the goal is just getting people to hopefully be able to tune in to their bodies and kind of
Hmm.
recognize a little bit better when they can peel back a little bit versus push.
Hmm.
Um, and I've even seen it on in the PT side of things in terms of I mean, forget about exercises. Wow, that's pretty obvious. But even in terms of like giving soft tissue releases to people to do, sometimes people will take one release and they will just go to town, you know, and then they come back the next day and they're like, I was bruised for days. I really dug in there. And I'm like, I didn't ask you to, you know? So I think I mean, it's important to recognize provider to client, both sides, who you're working with, who you're communicating with, communication styles from the start,
Hmm.
and just keep an eye on the process, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm one of the type A people, you know, so
Yep,
I've
me
been
as
one that
me for this.
can. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was laughing before. So it's like I can take things to the extreme, but it did take me years to realize, as you said, like sometimes doing more isn't about doing more. It can just be about doing what you're doing, but doing it better too,
Hmm.
right? To
Absolutely.
me, it's like I have to tell myself a lot to kind of slow down and don't lose the ritual of doing things,
Hmm.
right? Because even something like a workout, I get very bored with workouts. If I were to plan the same workout or if I know what's coming for me, then it's kind of like, I'm not mentally in it as
Hmm.
much,
Hmm.
But it's like I love being active and I love working out and I feel fantastic after. And I obviously know all the benefits. So I kind of trick myself into it.
Hmm.
And I do this with my skincare. I do it with everything. With my mobility, I do it with everything. That way, I just keep myself a little more interested so that I can stay engaged with the ritual versus zoning out or
Hmm.
blowing past it, blowing through it, whatever,
Hmm.
It's tough though.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, like finding ways to like make it feel less mundane.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Just bring a little bit of joy back into your life,
mhm.
even with the obligatory routine-based things,
Yes, yes. Even the checking it off. It's like I'm checking it off, but
Or like even your toiletries on your counter, rearrange them so that they
yeah.
visually register clearly in your brain, and suddenly it's like, "Ooh, I have a new routine." You know?
Exactly, yeah. And I just tried to put my contact solution on my toothbrush because I moved it.
Okay, well, maybe don't do those That's hilarious. What are the chances I say
Oh
that example
man,
today? That's hilarious.
don't do
So
that at home.
yeah. So when someone walks into a session with you, obviously we've talked about there's so much more going on in people's lives outside of just their physical
Mhm.
body. Okay. So what are you typically assessing first when you look at someone?
Um, I think body language. Yeah, I think looking at someone's face, I think you can kind of get clues like, is something going on? Are they walking, are they walking in with a good posture and a smile, or are they kind of like hiding from the space a little bit? I think I kind of start to read on that. And then immediately it's okay, what'd you have going on this weekend? What'd you do? What kind of activities? Like what's going on in your life? Uh, yeah, I think it's just digging in, and like I always start off with this, how's the body feeling? And they're like, fine. Uh,
Very detailed answer.
very detailed.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay. What's fine mean? Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yes. I used to say to some of my clients, I was like, one word answers are not allowed. Like I need more information.
Give me a sentence or two.
Yeah, or I'd be like, "How are you feeling?" And they'd be like, "Fine." And then I just look at them. It's like, keep talking,
Yeah.
but there is so much more, and I sometimes people don't even take the pause themselves to really think about how they're
Hmm.
feeling, So, you know, take the moment when somebody else pries you maybe and it might be helpful. You never
Hmm.
know, right? So when someone comes in to train, how often is what they think they need different from what you're actually seeing?
Um, that's a very loaded question.
Yes,
But
I'm already thinking of like so many different ways it could go
I
wrong
know.
right now.
I think it's again communication, and then it's balancing giving them what they want and creeping in, sneaking in kind of what they need. Like someone who doesn't really like to like warm up to get started. So it's like, okay, well you're gonna go do your little cardio thing for 3 or 4 minutes. So then I know that your body temperature is up. And then it's like, okay, let's sneak in some sort of movement. So like, let's do a squat, and then we're gonna do your rest as like some mobility training. So it's like, okay, let's open up your shoulders while after you do your squats, and then I'll talk to you, and you tell me about your weekend. And then they're just talking and they're moving at the same time, and then they don't know that they just did this thing. Um, and I guess that's kind of a sneaky way, but like that's like uh something where you're like again, someone who's like, I didn't want to sit here and just do mobility training. It's like, okay, well, we sneak it into the rest time, and
Yeah.
it doesn't
Well,
feel like it's boring or.
Yeah, and ultimately they're coming to you for help, right?
Hmm.
And they keep working with you, so I assume they trust you and your ability. So,
Hmm.
it's good that, you adapt your programming around what they need, and I'm sure that they appreciate it, even if it doesn't sound all that exciting in the
Yeah.
beginning. I mean, even for myself, like, I honestly, I don't think I would sign up for like a stretch session or a mobility session somewhere because, I'd be like, I'll do that on my own time, right?
Hmm.
So but when it is figured into your workout and when it is in a different manner than people might visualize in their mind, at least at first, then it can be
Hmm.
helpful too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
mobility is not just static stretching,
Nope.
and
But everyone thinks it is.
actually, yeah, and I actually don't prefer static stretching much at all usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Neither
it's yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there's just lots of variety, but that's
Mhm.
so funny. And then there's also, I feel like, probably people that come in wanting a certain physique or result
Mhm.
too, where it's, you know, and I go back and forth with this because on one hand, again, working with different athletes, and you know this, people aren't like swimmers aren't born with a swimmer body type, for example, but
Yeah.
because they swim a lot, right, you can develop that type of body, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't equate to you're going to become a professional swimmer or whatever.
No.
So it's like there is some specificity, and you can train like a X to kind
Mhm.
of get a similar physique, but also your anatomy is different. How muscle's going to build is different, so and nobody's ever going to look the same exteriorly. So yeah, so I imagine there can be some differences there in terms of even PT wise. I had so many clients coming in that would just work out the glamour muscles, especially
Mhm.
men, the glamour muscles for their arms and the upper trap shrugs. I hate upper trap shrugs. If I
Shrugs and
could,
bench, shrugs and bench press.
yes, if I could do away with one exercise for the rest of my life, it would be upper trap shrugs. I feel
Take the
like.
shrugs away.
Oh gosh. I even had a client once I had to yell at him across the room because we just finished our session. I looked over and he had weights that he grabbed and and I was like, put him down,
It's
please.
like, no, I need these.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an addiction sometimes because, people think I need the pump, I need the blood flow, I need the
Mhm.
bulk. And from the PT perspective, sometimes they don't want to
No.
get their muscles released because they
Mhm.
think that's going to make the bulk go away.
Mhm.
But it actually just releases the restrictions and helps things fire more
Yep.
efficiently, right? Which can help with their goals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So there can be, yeah. Do you see people coming in terms of like trend based fitness stuff at all?
Um, not a whole lot. At least in my experience, I haven't had anyone come in and be like, all right, I want to do this specific style of working out because I saw it on Instagram. I still think most people coming into you might get that a little bit more with like some online training. But I think people who are coming into a gym for personal training, most of them are, they're just kind of new to the gym, new to movement, and they're just kind of wanting guidance, or it's the person who, like needs the accountability. Like I need to know that you're waiting on me here at this hour, so that I show up. And then yeah, what was I gonna? Oh, I was gonna say that I had literally two of my clients, like completely different, older male, middle aged mom, um, training for two different like drastically things like health, and she's kind of like a very active. She likes challenges. But so she did a really long hike, and she comes in on Monday, and she's, in my head, I'm like, she's gonna be fine. I'm like, she did on Saturday. She probably didn't do anything Sunday, but she's really stiff. So we spend the first 25 minutes just like doing mobility stuff and like doing kind of like essentially just opening up tissue and just opening up joints. And then we did like some easy-ish cardio, a little bit of some like lighter lifting. And then when she walked out, she's like, man, I feel way better. Um, and then my older client, similar, he had just been like driving the day before for I think 6, 7 hours. So he came in, and in my head, I'm not thinking about it at the time, but I'm like, okay, we're gonna do a really fun session. It's gonna be a good time. And he comes, he's like, man, I'm really stiff. Like I was driving a lot yesterday. Same thing, kind of like first 20 minutes for just kind of moving, stretching, mobility work, moving the hips, and then some light movement, and then we stretched at the end, and that was,
Yeah. I mean, the body's made to move, you know? And so it's like when people start to get a little stuck, you feel it. But ultimately, doing the mobility and the recovery stuff too, it's like that helps get people's body in a better alignment, right? Which
hmm
then helps the rest of their muscles to activate and fire better
hmm
throughout the day. So it's like, if they could just get a little bit of that kind of realigning and to start,
hmm
you know, and then it's like, okay, you still get your energy burn,
yeah, still get
etc.,
something,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, and probably more than you would have if you just tried to go hard for an hour in a
yes,
compensated alignment or
yeah,
mobility pattern, and
yeah,
then
and then you feel worse.
and then you feel worse, then you have to backtrack in a
Yep,
different type of recovery after.
yes.
Yeah, potentially with me.
Yeah, literally, I was just gonna say it's like you go from my PT to your PT.
Yeah, exactly, and it's not a fun one, let me tell
No.
you. It is fun, fun, but it's not a yes, it can be a sensational
Yeah,
experience. We'll say we'll say that.
absolutely.
So what tells you physically when somebody's ready to be pushed then versus pulled back?
Good sleep. If I know your sleep's good, um, if I know you're doing relatively well with your nutrition, um, your stress management is decent. I know that's kind of
All over the
a
spectrum.
rocky, yeah.
And what do you talk to about nutrition with people too? Because that is really important in terms of just replenishing their energy. Or a lot of times, I'm sure people come in fasted,
hmm
either intentionally or
Yeah,
unintentionally,
yeah,
because of the stress of everything
yes.
else. So, how does that play into how your sessions
I think
occur?
I'm big on the fuel for performance. Whatever that performance is, or and the other thing I like to say is like, um, eat to support your lifestyle. So, if you have a very active lifestyle and you like to move and you like to exercise and do fitness, then, yeah, you should be eating to support that. And again, if for someone who doesn't move as much and maybe lives a little bit more sedentary, then, also the same thing. Like you probably aren't going to be need to eat as much as someone who's moving more or doing more.
Hmm. Yeah. And then, yeah, we've talked about, again, people coming in kind of in a fasted sense, maybe from stress
hmm
related things. But do you see people doing that intentionally, or is it more of like just the accidental thing? Is it more like intermittent fasting or like that trend, or is it more just got caught up in the day and haven't had a chance to eat yet,
Yeah,
etc.? Yeah.
I would say I see more of the got caught up in the day. Uh, working with parents and,
Yes.
um
That makes sense.
middle aged individuals. I feel like that's kind of what they thought. Like, oh, I just got busy doing stuff, and boom. One of my clients, she just traveled a lot for work driving. And when we actually did some nutrition stuff where she was just sending me a picture of everything that she ate. And it was more of like okay, I have to send these to James. One, they have to look good. And two, and so he knows that I'm actually eating food.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I think, yeah, again, people have different lifestyles,
Yeah.
and learning to navigate that and trying to help people figure out like, okay, well, can you have a little snack in there somewhere? Like, can you grab an apple? Can you grab a banana? Can you grab, a trail mix type of thing, something to just get some type of calories in your body.
Yeah.
Um,
Bring something with you, like a little
yeah.
bar or something,
hmm And I would almost say the morning crowd is probably who you're gonna get. Like, I just forgot to eat. I was trying to get here.
I never eat. That would be me. You'd be like, go home and eat something.
I'll be like, oh wait, I have a bagel in my bag. Here you go.
Yeah. Actually, one of my tennis friends, she frequently would bring me a bar.
And so I was like, I'm gonna start bringing my own bars because I feel guilty. But yeah, it was like twice, and then I was like, okay, this is
You're like, all right, I'm
yeah,
gonna bring mine.
yeah.
But look at like someone like bringing that to you. You were like, okay, I'll bring my own. I'll bring my own.
Yeah, exactly. But I also learned and was like,
Yes.
my blood sugar is gonna get too low, and then
Hmm.
I'm gonna be in the sun and the heat, and that doesn't go well for me.
Hmm. I don't know if
You
it
know?
goes for most people.
Yeah, it doesn't. But
She was like, I need my partner fueled and ready to go over here.
yeah, seriously. Well, and I feel like people can notice it on you, like when
Hmm.
you're lacking energy and
Hmm.
sustenance, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like there's like the vibe is different or something,
Hmm.
you know? So it's very important, So how does a person's postural alignment come into play and how do you factor that into your training? Because again, that's something that I'm dealing with all the time from the PT side and
Um,
resetting things.
yeah, I think I think it's one, it's having a warm up so that you can see how people are moving and kind of what maybe something looks restricted. Maybe if I it could look restricted, but it might feel fine. But they could tell you that. Um, and then so I've worked with someone who has scoliosis. Uh, and so we know like based on the curve, and there's essentially she's like inhibited in some spots and like weaker in some spots. So it's like we're constantly doing like low intensity work stuff, that type of stuff to strengthen those areas. But she does really well with super stable exercises. So like, and she's more in the aesthetic side of things. So she's training to like, she wants some buns, she wants quads. Uh,
Yeah.
so like doing unstable exercises just like doesn't work for her. She just like doesn't feel the right muscles working. So we pick specific exercises so that she feels very stable, and it's like, okay, I feel, what I should be feeling in this exercise versus like, oh, I just like I actually feel my back hurting a little bit, or I feel my shoulder hurting a little bit, or my knee hurts a little bit here, because of the curve of her spine.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like worked with so many people with scoliosis over the years, whether it be true scoliosis, the one that you're born with, or
Hmm.
functional, where it's
Yeah.
just a postural development
Yep.
over time,
Yep.
essentially. But both, I mean, I think everybody needs kind of constant tuning and maintenance in order to maintain your posture. Because gravity is gravity. It's
Gravity's
not
gravity.
going anywhere. But yeah, but also on the other end, not in the same group, I would say, and something I see just as much as scoliotic stuff is hypermobility, which is also another big challenging thing in terms of, you know, training and like sending
Hmm.
people to the right trainers because yeah, they kind of need a more stable structure, a more
Hmm.
stable setting and set up, and the form really needs to be watched and
Hmm.
maintained, as you know, and it has to be very specific too in terms of like strengthening certain parts and not over strengthening others,
Hmm.
So it's just well, I always say this phrase, but you have to unbias the bias essentially, right?
Yes. I love that. I love that.
Well, good. 'Cause I say it a lot. I feel like people are gonna get sick of me saying it, but it's true. And then similarly, do you talk to people about some of their lifestyle setup stuff in relation to their posture as well? Like, again, you put in a lot of effort in terms of training, and I put in a lot of effort in terms of the PT side, and so do the clients. But then sometimes when they go home,
Hmm.
it's like they sit on that same side of the couch and then that that shift is immediately back or,
Hmm.
they sit in the chair and whatever, right? So
Hmm.
tell me about how you how you talk to people about that type of stuff.
I mean, I immediately can think of myself with my son. I'm right-handed, so of course I'm always like, oh, well, I'm carrying him in my left hand because
Yeah.
I just function better with my right hand out there. Uh, and yeah, there will be times where I'm literally picking him up with my left side, and I'm like, nope, pick him up on the right side. And I set him down, and I turn, and I pick him up on my right side. Um, so yeah, so it's like, yeah, little stuff like that. It's carrying your groceries in your non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
Is always a good one.
when you're standing and cooking, a lot of people
Yes.
like shift
Yes,
weight to
yes. They
one
want to shift
leg.
to their strong
Yeah,
side.
or if you're talking on the phone, same
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, you just shift to the other side or what's my other way is like go a little bit wider stance and just go like even on both sides.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Who do I have? One of my clients, she loves her kids play sports. But she does the mom stance where like not necessarily hands on her hips, but just like her hips forward. Uh
Oh no.
all like all the weight is just all of gravity's pulling on her lower back and she's coming, she's like, my lower back hurts, my lower back hurts.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how are you standing out there? Um
Yep.
she's like, oh, well, I'm standing like this, and I'm like, oh, that's why. Then I can throw things into the program, so it's like, okay, we can work on strengthening these areas.
Yes.
But they still have to know, they still have to like be conscious of where their body is in space when they're outside of the gym.
Yeah. One of my friends from Chicago, who's also a personal trainer there, whenever we would do farmer's carry, she would say, organize your body. And I really liked that. 'Cause
Mhm.
it's like, okay, stack up all your segments. But again, I'm hypermobile. So I have to, like my knees, especially, if I try to really straighten them, they excessively
Mhm.
extend, right?
Yeah, you're hypermobile.
So
Yep.
it's like, I really just do have to organize my body.
Hmm.
But same thing with all of us in our posture,
Yes. Yes. And my client, I was like, this is cool. I was like, my client with scoliosis, she worked with some sort of like Schroth doctor that was essentially taught her how to segment her body in a way to align her spine better. And so, sometimes in between each rep, she's doing this kind of like thing where she's segmenting her spine, and I'm watching her in real time like do it, and then she does a rep, she stands back up, she does her little wiggle, and then she does it again, does it back, and it's just really cool to watch her like like you say, organize your body, organize her body
Organize
like
your body.
so that she's in the best place to feel good.
Exactly. And then things can work better too, which is
Hmm.
going to hold her like the stable foundation of it all even better,
Hmm.
So it's just better results too. Um, and then, so again, you spent years competing externally, and we've talked about how there can be a bit of a shift or a pivot sometimes in terms of, you're working so hard in terms of performance and results and kind of that overdrive mode. And then, how does the identity shift come into play when you go from competing to more coaching?
Um, I think there's probably a space for athletes to be coached or educated on how to shift there. I probably like most athletes struggled with, okay, what do I do now? Um, I I do think going directly from playing soccer like into fitness coaching, like my first coaching job was performance coaching for like 7 to 11-year-olds. So I was still kind of immersed in it. Um, and yeah, it became similar to what I said at the beginning. It became less about, oh, I'm the person getting better, and it's like, oh, how do I use what I know to help them get better? Um, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's almost like your day-to-day shifted a little bit, kind of
Hmm.
like what you said at the very start, where it shifted from being more about you to about your clients, you
Hmm.
know? And that, yeah, that can be a stressful pivot. And
Yeah.
I went through a pivot myself when I decided to leave my former job and go into business for myself
Okay. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
again, it's, just a different realm, but again, it's you go from focusing on your performance, on the metrics, on,
Hmm.
the results that you get, the validation probably that you
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
or on
Validation
my
is
end,
big.
the thank yous. And then at first it was like, well, I have no clients. And so it's like, there's nothing to show. So all of a sudden it's like, I worked all day, but I feel like I have zero things to show
The
for
show for it. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all of a sudden all those numbers are gone,
Yeah.
And so it can be a real value shift in like, who are you as a person
Hmm.
and what do you want to do? How do you want to help people and show up in the world, et cetera? But it sounds like that was, a little bit more of a natural pivot for you into
Hmm.
coaching, which is really nice.
Hmm. And again, I think I still struggled with kind of like the outlet part of it too. The like,
Oh, yeah.
where do you find like where do you look to fill that void of, oh, where's that thing? So I think I was playing some men's league soccer. Um, I got a little bit into competitive paintball. I played that like back in my like high school days and then a little bit of college. But yeah, so yeah, I think you like look for that outlet, and I think fitness kind of became that. And then it was translating from like, oh, I'm just going to training on the field, so now I'm like going to train in the gym or on a track or whatever it is that day. Um, yeah, so I think, and I think to this day, I think I still struggle with feeling the void of wanting to play soccer, but the risks of it uh
That could be.
not being worth the fun of it.
Do you feel like you miss the more intense competitive side of it, or is it still, do you feel as adequate, like competing kind of with yourself?
Um, I think some of it is still competing with myself. But I think that the other side of it is like the mental challenge, like the thinking that you're doing that you like don't realize you're doing on the field, but uh, and then the team. I think the team part of it is probably the biggest. I think missing that team environment and just kind of like, all right, I'm in it with these 25 dudes, 30 dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just every day 2 hours a day. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
sometimes
really
3 hours.
going through it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then how has being a dad changed how you view performance well, and especially discipline? What would you want
Um,
your son to grow up having instilled in terms of sports, fitness, etc.? His goals.
um, I think showing up. I think that like if I can connect the two of those, it's just showing up. Uh, so sometimes it's 20 minutes. It's getting my brain to accept that like, hey, you got 20 minutes today. Like 20 minutes is just it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fine. On other days I have an hour and a half. But yeah, I would say yeah, showing up in the gym, showing up as a dad. And so yeah, I think teaching him in that area of okay, I can control my attitude and I can control my effort. Um, and yeah, and if I keep showing up, then I'm going to get better some way or another.
Yeah. And it's almost just like accountability,
Hmm.
in terms of like more so like showing up for yourself, which
Yeah.
is actually so important. And, outside of PT, I do some more holistic based stuff as well as
Hmm.
energy healing. And that is something that I constantly talk to men and women about is just the not showing up for themselves.
Hmm.
It seems like that comes through quite often, and they're putting their own needs on the back burner or their own health stuff until it's
Hmm.
absolutely dire, or until they absolutely can't stand their job anymore, and then they finally pull the plug.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, just kind of teaching yourself to show up for yourself, your own needs.
Hmm.
And yeah, sometimes you might not be fully in it, but, you know, I think it's important to reassess and
Hmm.
keep trucking too.
Yeah. It's like working that muscle of I've got to, I can't pour from an empty cup. If my cup's not full or if I don't have anything in my cup, then what do I have to give?
Yeah, exactly. And it also reminds me of a client of mine actually told me this, and she was explaining it was in a phase where I was going to yoga a lot, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go later. I might be tired. And she told me, and this completely changed my perspective from that day on. She basically said that you can't negotiate with yourself. And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "As soon as you start saying, 'What if? Maybe later.'" She's like, "You'll
Hmm.
never do it." And then you just add more stress to your plate because then later you start the negotiations
Hmm.
again. So to me, that's like the biggest thing in terms of holding myself accountable is like, I just don't negotiate with myself.
Hmm.
If I had a plan to do something, I'm just going to do it.
I'm doing it.
I'm going to, yeah, because usually that plan was already guided by my intuition in some regard of
Hmm.
like something that I've
Absolutely. Yes.
already chosen to do.
Yep.
So just stick to it.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. It's almost like you negotiating or like talking, trying to talk yourself out of it is you're like fighting your spirit. Your spirit's like, no, you should go do this thing. But your brain's being like, I don't know. I'm tired. This happened. That happened.
And the time and energy you can save yourself just by not having to or
Just
for
walk into
people
the
out.
gym.
Yeah,
Just walk into
exactly.
the gym.
You could have been done with the workout by
Yes.
then.
Yes, it's
Or
been 30 minutes.
I even do that with simple, like, little cleaning tasks. So sometimes you're like, "Oh, I have to go do this thing now," but it's like, "Nope, just don't start negotiating with yourself. Just finish what you're doing because otherwise it's something else to circle back on,
Yes.
which is then what
Yes.
adds more stress for people, and then they just give up on it entirely."
Yes.
You know?
Just stacking the plates.
We want people to keep engaged in their lives, keep active, keep
Yes.
mobile, keep tending, etc.
Yes. Yes.
So then how do things like hormones and that type of stuff come into play? Because you work with a lot of women, right?
Mhm.
How does that tend to come into play in terms of training? I assume it's still an adaptable experience.
Mhm. Mhm. And I don't have a whole lot of expertise or knowledge in the hormone space. Um, but I mean, and I don't understand a whole lot about the female cycle. But I know that energy fluctuates based on where they are in it. And I have clients who are, I talked to them about it. And I just tell them to let me know. I just give my clients that freedom to, and this would probably be more like in the online space, but um, I just give them the freedom to, hey, if you have a hard workout that day and you wake up and that's just not it. Um, it's like, okay, how much time was that workout supposed to be? And then like, if you need to shorten it, okay, but let's bring the intensity down. And you just honor where your body is that day, and we can move that session to later in the week or wherever it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely honoring where your body is for sure. And, there's so many, it's not just cycle related things, it's, you know, perimenopause, but also
Hmm.
men and, like men are usually chronically pretty low in testosterone,
Hmm.
even if they're generally feeling okay,
Yeah.
so that can affect their workouts, their energy, their focus, their drive
Hmm.
too. And then, I mean, with me, like I went through mold toxicity when I was living in Chicago because there was a pipe burst in the building,
Oh, okay. Wow.
which that threw off everything in my
Yeah.
body for a couple of
Your body's
years.
like,
So yeah, it's like detoxing like that really messed with my hormones, but my ability to work out and just so many different things.
hmm
So many weird things when you're going through detox,
yes.
right? It was like sometimes after a workout I'd get a big histamine reaction and it's like, where did this even
You're
come
like,
from?
you're like, what?
Yeah, but you're detoxing,
Yeah. Your
and
body's like,
it's
hold on.
but yeah, so there's so many just environmental factors that can throw off people's hormones as well, even
Hmm.
the products they're using,
Hmm.
there's so
Yeah.
many
Absolutely.
endocrine disrupting chemicals
Yep.
and things. So PSA, I would recommend people just try to Google, even household cleaners,
Yes.
toiletries, like what are
Yes.
non-toxic versions of laundry
Yes.
detergents, because
Yes.
that can start balancing things.
Um.
And even hormones too, I wonder, because on the PT side of things, I don't measure people's hormones, right? But
Yeah.
people would talk to me about, I have this constant bloat or this inflammation that I can't
Hmm.
get rid of. What's going on? So to me, again, that's tied in with potentially their hormones, their immune system, their detox
Hmm.
pathways, their fascial restrictions in and around their organs, so many
Hmm.
things, right? So it's,
Yes. So
I mean,
multifaceted.
people probably sign up for fitness and being like, I need to lose this extra
Hmm.
inch or, sometimes.
Hmm.
So that's another
But it's so much deeper.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a whole nother thing.
Yes.
And then this is one of my favorite questions.
Bring.
Who's harder to coach? Someone who's done a lot or someone who doesn't know much about fitness at all?
Ooh. Um. Oh. I'll go for the person who doesn't know a lot,
Okay.
but is eager, but's eager to learn,
Yeah. Yeah,
and is
that's
eager
a
to
good
learn,
qualifier.
and like eager to embrace the process.
You would want to work with that client.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. So you're saying harder to coach would be probably somebody who knows a lot.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Because at that point, and it would probably be something that we would talk about on the call, but it would essentially be like, okay, you just want someone to, how to do your own program, but you just want someone to do that part. You want to take away the mental side of it and just train. Um, versus the person who's like, wait, I kind of want to learn more about this. Like, why did you build it that way? Or, why are we doing these intervals with this amount of time versus this amount of time?
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, then I get to like use my expertise to educate them and like help them make those steps. And not that I wouldn't work with the person who's done a lot, because they're also still fun to work with,
Of
because
course.
you can get complex and things are much different. But yeah, it's a little. I think I would say it's more exciting for me, the person who, again, is just eager to do something or go at something that hasn't
Yeah.
hasn't done anything.
Yeah. And I like that qualifier you put on it too, because that qualifier, realistically, if somebody's open or eager, like I would want to work with him either way.
Hmm.
you know, that's the biggest thing. And from the PT side, it's like I get so excited when, clients would come in and they'd be like, my vastus lateralis is really, I'm like, yes, some of your muscles, like
Yes.
that's so exciting,
Oh my god.
But I also have had people like clients in their 50s and 60s even that, I'll be like, oh, your quad muscle. And they'll be like, where's that? Is that back here?
Hmm.
So I love teaching them,
Hmm.
and it's very eye-opening to them.
Yeah.
But it's also, for me, a little scary because it's like, oh my gosh, you've been walking around with this body for so many
You know
years.
nothing about
We
them.
don't know the basics,
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, this is all like general information that I feel like
Hmm.
every person with a body should have,
Yes.
which is part of
Yes.
why I'm doing this,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah, I feel like as long as people are just open to learning, and then that's perfect.
Hmm. More nutrition and fitness stuff in school.
Yes, exactly.
And grade school, not when you have to choose it because you're in college.
Yes, that agreed. And even just like basic mobility, or,
Hmm.
like red flags, yellow flags,
Hmm.
you know.
Like, hey, if this starts hurting, probably not that big of a deal. But if this starts hurting, probably should get an opinion.
Yes, exactly.
Or this type of pain. Like maybe they do it in like a pain sense, sort of like if you're doing this type of pain,
Yes.
not a big deal. This type of pain, probably not good.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So there's room to grow.
Yes,
Better
absolutely,
adapt.
absolutely. We could probably have a long, long conversation on
Oh, we could.
fitness and nutrition in the school, but we'd have to
Yes.
save that for another day.
Oh, yes. No, there's a lot I could say there too. So, lastly, if someone's about to start working with a trainer, what do you wish that they understood going in?
Um, if you're hesitant, don't negotiate with yourself and just do it. Uh, just do it. I think, if you're looking at a gym's website and you're feeling reluctant to like fill out an intake form, um, just fill it out. I think for the most part, a lot of fitness trainers, fitness coaches, are going to look at someone's intake, about someone that they know nothing about, um, and just try to be positive about it. I think most trainers you're going to go to in a gym space are going to make you feel welcome. They're going to make you feel at home. And yeah, they're going to be able to help you navigate, I think, the fears that most people think about. I think even just walking into a gym, not even necessarily working with a trainer. Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's
people get
that's
into
what
this
I've done.
industry because they want to do it. They want to
Yes,
help people with these
yes,
things.
yeah,
So same thing with me. It's like, I'd rather, like, there's no embarrassment,
no,
just come in and let's get some work done
hmm,
and talk about life and
yeah,
figure it out,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
because
literally.
we've all been there.
Hmm.
Really.
Yeah, and I think that that person, your potential coach, your potential trainer, could be your biggest cheerleader for whatever you're trying to accomplish, or what you're trying to to
100%.
to whatever direction you're wanting to head towards. You'll never know if if you don't fill out the intake or don't walk into the gym and ask about it.
Yeah. And
Um,
I hate to say this because it's, you know, socials, I'm promoting socials, but it's like there's so much information out there and most trainers are on social media. So
mhm,
you can have a little discernment and again, like look into who you might be going to train
mhm,
with or the facility and like see the vibe and try to pick something that fits you. And then, yeah, just fill out the form, give it a try,
mhm,
but pick something that, or pick somebody even that feels like, you're going to be wanting to spend some time with them.
mhm. Yeah,
You're
exactly.
going to.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
absolutely are. And I would say even in the stance of the first person you talk to doesn't feel like a good fit, like keep trying. I would say it's the same with the physical therapist, the same with, psychologists and mental therapists. Normally the first person you find isn't the one for you, but you might there might be some some sole chances that there are. But yeah, I think like yeah, don't give up if the first time isn't what you want it to be or expect it to be.
I agree. And yeah, don't give up and don't be afraid to also make a switch too if you need
Hmm.
to, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's like holding yourself accountable, speaking up for yourself and advocating and saying what you need.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yes.
Nobody's a mind reader,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes. And I'm like upfront with my clients. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, if we get through 2 or 3 sessions and it's
Yeah.
our vibes aren't vibing, I'm not gonna take it personally. I've been in the game long enough to know that just like people work with different people, and
Yeah.
if you're gonna be spending that amount of money and spending that much time with someone, it should at least be enjoyable. Uh,
I agree. And it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to
uh,
be whatever, it can be just another experience.
mhm,
And it's so funny because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm trying to get people to engage as much in their sessions with me so that they can be on their merry way,
mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
so
you
that
want
they
people.
don't
You
have
don't.
to keep, I want them
Yes.
to graduate essentially,
Yes.
right? So it's so funny. But yeah, and I mean, working in a PT company for years, it's like there's so many different personalities and
Hmm.
clients love all of them.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
again, find your people,
You'll find your person. You'll find your person.
Yeah,
Don't give up
exactly.
if the first one isn't. If she's
Exactly.
not fitting the first person.
Yes. Well, thank you so much to James for talking with me today. This is such a great conversation. Please let everybody know where they can find you online, on socials.
You can find me on Instagram at Olay James. That's Olay James. I Americanized the Spanish version of Olay. Um, and then I'm on Threads, same name. And then my website's evolve-mvmt.com. So yeah, that's all I'm at. No YouTube, no TikTok. I'm pretty like low key with my socials. And yeah, thank you, Summer. Thanks for your time. Conversation was good. I think we talked a little bit about it. We're both yappers, so it
Oh,
makes
yes,
it
we
even
are.
more
We could,
fun.
yes, it could be out for forever.
Everything we talked about really comes back to one thing. You can't separate performance from the system it's happening in. So if you're starting to realize there's more influencing your results than just your workouts, let's talk. And if something in today's conversation gave you clarity, perspective, or direction, take what resonates and apply what works. Knowledge is power, and now you have more of it. That's all for today.